Today on the podcast, I have a very special guest. You may know her from the world of music. You may know her from some TNA wrestling. Her name is Goldylocks. She's been nice enough to join us today on the podcast. How are you doing?
I just love it. I love my mom. Our family's Irish from Ireland, so I love listening to your accent. I could hear it all day. I think my mom's rolling around somewhere like happy as shit that I got a real man from Ireland interviewing me today. So that's good.
Welcome to Ireland.
I love it. Hello.
So do you have some family connections over here?
Oh, very much so. McIntyre and let's see. Oh God, McIntyre, McNary, many Scottish and Irish. Very Scottish, very Irish.
Do you know any areas in Ireland where your roots come from?
Some in Dublin, and some in the countryside. That's all I know.
Yeah.
I better figure it out.
That's the way Ireland is. It's Dublin and then just kind of the rest.
Yeah, and the rest, yes.
Yeah. For people that don't know you then, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely, and I appreciate you asking me that. And then you pronounce your name Maris.
Maris, yeah.
Maris, okay, I got it. So my name is Goldie, and I am, I guess not just a singer-songwriter, but I'm a rocker. I have had a pretty extensive career in pop music. Minneapolis is where I was born and from, St. Paul, the Twin Cities. So had a lot of run-ins with all of the Minneapolis sound and Prince and Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, just all of the time, Morris, the real Morris Day. And, just a lot of great people from that whole camp. And I moved into everybody in Atlanta, that whole scene. There was a lot of people out there and wrote some songs even for TLC. And just I've done a lot in the urban, in the pop world, and then a lot in the rock world as well. I moved on to doing more fronting and switched into that gear. And then I joined the first ever cast of TNA Impact, NWA TNA, and had a great run with all of that. Interesting. Can talk about that more. And now I front a rock band. I am a fellow podcaster on Russo's Brand, the Realm Network. We have a Patreon. Check that out, please. I would love it. We've got some pretty great content on that, including Tub Talk, where I give some pretty good dating advice to all of the single and married or taken men. And got new TV coming along and great videos that are out on the YouTube Goldylocks Band channel, on Russo's channel. There's some of our videos that I've premiered, and I also have a column in the Los Angeles Tribune called Goldie's Corner. And if that isn't enough, I've got another show coming out on the Los Angeles Tribune's Roku TV Amazon Fire called Golden Rules with a doctor. And it's sort of like old school for people listening that are this old, not that you're old, but Love Lines with Dr. Drew and Adam Carolla. So that's what's cooking in Goldie's Corner, is all of that, Maris. So thank you for asking.
So lockdown, you're still busy during all these strange times.
In a different way, we started the Patreon. Vince Russo literally called me up March 15th, maybe. We did our last show, I think on like the 7th or 8th. And I was just like, do I do now? Because all of our bookings were getting canceled. And we're talking like an entire rest of the year, summer, fall, holidays, big money, big productions, and it just all went to the shitter. It did. And he said, oh, you need to do this Patreon gimmick. And I said, I don't know what I would be able to offer anybody. He listed a bunch of stuff. I started doing that. That turns into more virtual things and podcasts. And then the Los Angeles Tribune reached out and said, like, you've got this really loyal, amazing followers of dudes and bros, from Russo. And they said, would you like to have a column? And that was born from that. And then some other opportunities came from that. We gained a new band member that came from Los Angeles who the shit hit the fan for him. And he was like, what am I going to do? I'm not going to be able to pay for this expensive rent. I want to be in a band. And he just picked up sight unseen, came to Nashville, and we got to meet him. And now he's in our band. So, you got to spend some time trying to find some silver linings in this I hate it when people are like, oh, it's just been so great. No, it hasn't been that great. It sucked. It sucked balls for a lot of people. It just has. But you got to do the best that you can to try to make something out of it. But for somebody that's a entertainer or a wrestler or athlete or an actor or an actress or an independent contractor or even a lot of people in the medical field in an elective area, it's been really hard. And you can pivot. Yeah, great. Everybody says, oh, just pivot. It's so easy. It's usually people with a lot of money that say that. Just go do this. They're good. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of people have pivoted in interesting ways, Morris.
Yeah. With the music then, what age were you when you had your first instrument and decided that you were going to pursue music?
My first instrument was my voice, and I was like 2.5, 3. Like, that's when I knew that's what I wanted to do, and ran away to a dance school to be a dancer down the block, like 6 blocks away. They couldn't find me. There's no internet back then, but they figured out who the long-haired blonde chick was and returned me to my rightful owners. But I was 3 when I really decided that that's what I wanted to do.
I seen recently online, it was actually on Vince's channel as well, your suicide awareness video. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about that and where it stemmed from?
I appreciate that. No, I appreciate that. And that Vince was gracious enough to put, like, I remember the first time they aired it and some guy was like, what the F is this? This isn't wrestling. And I'm like, yeah, you stupid shit. Like, obviously it's not. So all to you, we shot like a real pretty video. And I just thought, who cares? Like, this, it's another pretty waterfall video, which maybe I'll release that someday too, because we need some more waterfalls, Morris. Yeah. But I had somebody that was being super abusive to me, not even in it was a platonic business relationship. And I just remember like sitting there, and this was before the pandemic, just feeling like I can't believe like I'm as old as I am and I'm in a bad relationship again, be it business or somebody you work with or just a friend or whatever. And I literally was just like thinking to myself, not that I would, but like, I just want to die. Like, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to deal with this. And I don't know how to exit when I'm so tied up with finances and contracts. And I just remember thinking like, you know what, let's just shoot this whole video, which is a Christian release. So that's a little edgy, even though we're not a Christian band. Let's just make it around, suicide prevention. Now it's more about suicide prevention / mental health awareness, but like, let's show the most gruesome things that we possibly can so that people thinking of taking their own lives will see in different vignettes with different celebrities that this is what you leave behind. This is the friends that have to think of you when you're gone, or your daughter or your son or your sister, brother, mother, father. It doesn't matter. Like, you matter to somebody. And that's what was behind that video. And I really appreciate you asking about that. And if you're listening to this and you wouldn't mind going over to Russo's YouTube, just look for All To You, Goldie with a Y, can't miss it. And just leave a nice comment in the comments, because a lot of people find that when they research like suicide, or if they're thinking of taking themselves out and it comes up, there's a lot of views on it. And there's some really nice things that people have said to a stranger, and you just never know like who's having a really bad day, especially with this COVID, especially all of you. Like, I know what's going on in Ireland and the UK, and it's just whack. It's whack attack. That's not good for your brain and your mental health. And it's just getting to be like weird and funky. It's been too long. Like, I can see a couple months of this, but it's too long. So you know what, everybody, if you're listening to this, I am just asking you, please go leave a comment. I would really appreciate it.
Yeah, there's nothing really open in Ireland at the moment. Not even. Can you imagine we've got no bars in Ireland at the moment? Crazy world.
Bro, I can't even fathom this. Like, and then what's the penalty if you guys are out? Is there one, or do you have like a curfew or?
At the moment, we don't have a curfew, but you can only travel within 5 kilometers of your house.
And then what happens if you get caught?
You can get, I think, a €100 fine.
So how much is that for English?
In dollars, it'll probably be about $75, $80.
Okay, see, Canada, it's $10,000. $10,000. Wow. Yeah. So 20 a lot times that. I can't. That's just nuts. Yeah. Are they pretty hardcore in Ireland with the cops?
Not really, but there's been I think it's only a case where if you're being cheeky or something like that,
Cheeky.
Yeah, cheeky.
Okay, go ahead with the questions. I like it.
Yeah. So you've opened like for some pretty big bands like I have here. So Saliva, Seven Dust, Pink, Maroon 5, Three Doors Down. Like that must have been great opening for bands of that level.
It's amazing. Sometimes you get to talk to the bands, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you just pass them in the hallway backstage at a casino or a venue, festival. Sometimes the bands are really cool to you. I will always remember after a show in Club La Vila in Florida, like Seven Dust, their drummer Morgan. He talked to us afterwards, and he was so kind, and he wasn't drunk, and he just, he really took an interest in us. And those guys, like, they don't realize for really young and upcoming talent, like how much that means to be not taken seriously, but even talked to, So there's been some really, really great people that we've met along the way. And then some real assholes too, or people that you just wonder, like, what happened in your day or your life that you would be that mean to somebody, So we really have had some amazing people that we've shared the stage with.
And some people that are stuck up.
It's like they're just, I don't know if they're inbred or like what's going on. Like they're just so mentally far gone, like it's, you crap like we all do, bro. Seriously. Yeah.
And for yourself then, for your musical influences, who are they?
I was like a lot of pop, and then now we've covered like there's another video on Russo's channel called Black, and it's from Pearl Jam's Black. We covered that, and we made that into a child abuse prevention video. That was with a different company. That's why when we did the mental health suicide awareness one, I kind of wanted to do the same thing, but like away from them with our own direction. But Pearl Jam and Nirvana and like some of those angsty bands, and then classic rock, really, how can you say like every band that's out there that's on the charts hasn't influenced you in some way, shape, or form, even if you hated them? You know what I mean? Doesn't matter. I like pop though a lot, but I like rock stuff too. Not a big country person. Can't say that I'm like listening to country. I live in Nashville. You'd think I would, but I'm kind of burnt out on. I think country is the most, because I'm here, like it's a lot of people that show up here and then all of a sudden they start sounding like this and they're not really sounding like that, and I'm like, you're not from here, you're from, Ohio, so it's just like interesting. But there are some amazing, authentic country people here. A lot of my friends that I've made friends with, but they're really country and they're authentic to it. So I like that. Not really too much into rap, although I did do a lot with, the R&B rap world when I had my first record deal. It's just a different crowd, and it's a whole different ball of wax when you go do shows at those venues and whatnot. So they're all funky and they're all a little dark, but I like the pop and I like the rock the best.
Yeah. In terms of working in TNA, like people always seem to have an opinion from outside the company, maybe that it's a crazy place to work, but yet anyone that I've talked to that works there says it's a great place to work. What's your experiences of working there?
I would be curious if the people that you talked to with their opinion came from the first very early days, or if you've talked to midway or current. So when you give that opinion, is it everybody, or do you have a specific demographic?
Well, Vito, for example, he was one of my first guests on the podcast. I know you know Vito he's on Vince's network as well. And he has nothing but good things to say about that company.
Vito wasn't in TNA when it was at the beginning of it, though. I don't think. He was in later.
Yeah, because he was still in WWE kind of at that stage when it was still going with the dress gimmick and things like that.
I didn't know that Vito was even in TNA. So he was in TNA.
Yeah.
Well, I better go back and like watch some of that. All of the stuff that he posts, it's always him with WWE or the others. So I had a good time with it, but it was brand new when I was there. It was very wild, wild west. So it was pretty crazy. It wasn't fine tuned yet. They were still finding their way. Everybody there was really good to me though. Of course, we had our run-ins with this and that and the next thing, but everybody was pretty cool to me. I was there when Dixie just started to come in, and then was there for a little while, and then I got fired, when she really started to have her reign. So it was good for me. I don't have anything bad to say, you know what I mean? Like there's like a couple people that were funky to me, and the rest of the people treated me like gold. I don't have anything bad to say about all that either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I watched your interview on Hannibal's podcast during the week,
Oh,
and you
which
had
one? I've been on there a couple of times. He's a scream.
it was about 9 months ago. I think it was probably the latest one.
All right. Well, he's great. I enjoy
Yeah.
him. He's a funny guy. Like he's so dry. I dig him. He's real good. He's a gentleman.
Yeah, he's got some
He's a
great
gentleman.
content.
No, he's a gentleman. He's so like chill, like almost so chill. I don't know. People just must like to talk because he just sits there and lights one up and does his thing. I really dig him. He's been good to me.
Yeah, there was some funny stories on it that you were telling. Like if you want to tell anyone, like remember there was one about Shane Douglas, and there was kind of stories about when you go out with people from TNA kind of after the show.
Oh, well, the Shane Douglas story, that's a good story. I thought you were going to talk about my stage vagina biting tetanus shot story. That one seems to be circulating.
Okay, we can go with that.
You'll be circulating this week a lot just because somebody that I was dating was like, well, where's the scar? And I said, I've had surgery to like repair like having a teeth mark above your uterus basically. But the Shane Douglas one, so we would go out to the ale house. The ale house was just like the nice bigger sports bar-y pub where I remember seeing like Tiger Woods with another woman like every time, wondering like, when is this guy gonna get busted? Like he's gonna get busted. And of course you never say anything, you mind your own business, but it's obvious like he's like we all weren't running around on somebody in those days. I'm no angel. I've lived a pretty interesting life, so not passing judgment, just making a statement, observation. So we would always be there, and there would always be what's called the rats in wrestling, and in music they're called groupies, and these are just women that will freely sleep with one or as many of the wrestlers or musicians as they can. They just really like to say like no different than a guy wants to like put a notch on his bedpost, so to speak. I don't know if you
Yeah.
have that reference in Ireland, but
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
okay, so it's no different for the chicks, and it's like they're consenting adults. If they want to go hoe around, be my guest. Like I don't care. It just makes for more funny stories. But there was always like all of the rats would show up, and then they just like pass them around like some like half-eaten peanuts, and like the shell would be kind of jagged, and the next guy would pick his ass with it or whatnot. But I used to just shake my head like, God, you guys are gonna catch something more than the COVID, okay? If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So there was one night though, I don't think I've ever told this story. We were with our group as normal, and then this one girl, her name was Sharky Moon Pie. She kind of had fangs. Like I don't know what kind of like dental work she had done as a child, or probably none, but she had these like fangs, like a piranha. Almost, she looked like a piranha fish, like a real ugly piranha. What are those fish called? Not monkfish. They're the ugliest fish that you can find. You look up the ugliest fish ever. They do SNL. Saturday Night Live does skits on these particular fish. She kind of resembled that fish. I mean, you get the cards that you got. I'm not saying that I'm the best looking, but I don't look like this fish. So she had the fangs, which again resembled the guy in Rocky Horror, the gatekeeper that answered the door with the long stringly hair and then these fangs. And I just thought, I hope nobody is ever on the receiving end of this dental work, because it would be painful, if you can read between the lines on that one, Maurice.
Yeah.
So we were all sitting there, and I was with one of our friends, and like we all just kind of gave each other the eye, and we decided that we were all gonna just get up and leave like one by one, so that like our friend was just there with her. Like he just kept looking, like you could just see like the look of terror and panic on his face, like 'cause he was a really nice guy and he didn't want to say anything. And then she was just like licking a spoon. I remember she had like a spoon. She was like, now that I can do with this. And I was like, what, vomit, stick it down your throat and throw up? So anyway, we ended up leaving him with Sharky Moon Pie, and God rest her, whatever, wherever she is now. If you're hearing this, Sharky, I'm sorry, but you got it kind of coming to you. So that kind of sets the tone for the ale house. And then we would all leave and go to other people's tables and sit down. But one particular night, there was a bunch of really rowdy guys in there that were using the F word, and not the F-U-C-K word, the F-A-G-G-O-T word. And they were calling all wrestlers faggots. And I just looked, they were in the booth behind me, and I just looked over my shoulder, and I was like, I don't think this is the place to really say that. I said, I don't think that's going to go over too well here. And they just kept on doing it. Well, I think it was after the second time they were saying, and then according to Shane Douglas, which because the story has been corroborated that I'm telling the truth, they weren't just saying that F word, that they were saying a worse F word, which is fake. They were just saying wrestling's fake. And again, I looked over my shoulder. I'm like, you guys, I just wouldn't go down this road. I'm just telling you, it's not going to end well. Well, the next thing you know is like, I think the third time, like Shane had been on some painkillers and drinking, because these guys hurt at the end of the night after getting like, I don't know, thrown through tables, chairs cracked over their head, jumping off of the high rope onto concrete. You kind of hurt, so his eyes were dilated to like, the blackest of night sun. And I just remember him picking them up and like pushing them through a plate glass window. Like that's all I remember, and like seeing like glass and like looking over and like saying, I told you not to say anything. And then Shane got taken off to jail or detained or whatever. And like, I think we were all afraid the next morning at the airport, like, what was he okay? Or where did he end up? Or, cause it was just, we didn't necessarily have the same cell phone gimmicks that we did these days. That was like years ago. So I just remember that and just thinking like, I wouldn't go into a restaurant that's like 90%, athletes and like start throwing around words when you're some little pipsqueaks. So crazy stories. I remember another, I won't say who, but it was a female wrestler, and the night clerk across the hotel desk was like hitting on her boyfriend, like openly. And this is a big woman. Like I wouldn't even look at this chick. And she just like literally reached across and grabbed the woman by the shirt and like literally whipped her across the desk and like onto her back, like slammed her like with one hand. Like that's how powerful. And then she again went to jail and they detained her, and so many stories end with went to jail and detained them, and then they had to find another talent on the card. And again, I wouldn't mess with these people. So I had a good time like running my mouth, and having people stick up for me. That was pretty fun. I just would say horrendous things waiting to get hit, and then somebody would come to my defense, which was awesome. It's pretty cool.
And for people that don't know about what the Vince Russo brand is and what it involves, can you tell people a little bit about it?
Vince Russo is just basically like the most badass record label of sports entertainment, where he collects talent, no different than I did in TNA when I collected all of the contracts and everything like that. So Vince just has a lot of really cool, interesting people on his brand. Mine is, predominantly sports entertainment, but like I've had a lot of no-shows because wrestlers lately have been really flaky. So this week, like we've got a 3-time Goldie's Closet. I keep doing like hot chicks that are singers because I know a lot of them and I like to promote them and cross promote. So give them a chance with these douchebags that are too drunk to show up at their scheduled time. It gets really old. Takes us like a freaking hour and a half to do our hair and makeup. You guys just like brush the hair on your nutsack and put on a hat and you're ready to go. Not for me. I got to take a lot of time. So when show on me, that I get hot. What am I going to do? Where am I going to go? To the Piggly Wiggly looking all glamorous in my corset and my diamonds? So I'm having chicks on for the next 3 weeks just so that I actually have some content with people that show up to the show, that wake up early and do what they're supposed to be do. I don't know. People have been lame lately. Have you ever had guests no show on you or not?
Yes. And people within the wrestling world as well.
How does that make you feel, Morris? Does that make you feel like $1 million to have somebody like completely piss your time away?
Sometimes I just kind of learn to expect it, just because you don't know, you never really know what's going on in someone's life. So I kind of let it go.
That's bullshit. That's a really nice thing to say. That's bullshit. It's just bullshit. I got no. You can at least find a way to let somebody know, you know what, I'm in a bad mood, or something horrible happened, or I slipped and I've fallen and I can't get up, or I'm having car troubles. You don't just stand somebody up. There's no excuse for it. Zero.
Yeah.
So you took the high road, I take the low road. That's where we'll meet in the middle somewhere. But I even like one of my bills, I have like a service for my house. And I'm like, what is this extra bullshit charge on here? And I call them up and they're like, oh, well, that's for the vehicle. So that it's vehicle maintenance and oil. I'm like, you know what? I have a vehicle too that needs an oil change and maintenance, but I'm not charging my clients like, oh, by the way, without you knowing, I just added on an extra $100 to your monthly bill because, I've got to pluck my eyebrows and get them waxed or get my butt bleached or whatever. So I just tacked that on. I hope you don't mind. And I said, has this always been on there? And she's like, no, it's a new thing. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm canceling my entire service for now. She's like, will that be for a month? And I'm like, no, it's indefinitely. Like, so I just don't be an asshole. Be respectful of people's time. I'm done. I'm off my soapbox. Next question.
We're going to wrap things up. Just where people can find you.
Oh, that's
links
it
for your channel.
Oh my God. Wow. This is a breeze.
It's nice and easy, isn't it?
Oh my goodness. You're a delight. It's Goldylocks Rocks on Twitter. It's Goldie with a Y. Don't go to the I. That's a different person. Goldylocks Rocks on Twitter and on Instagram. It's the same Goldylocks Rocks. Please just cross promote. Let them know where you found me, what show you're listening to. We should do some liners too. Let them know. And if you're so moved, if the spirit moves you, then go ahead and do Patreon / Goldylocks. It's Goldie with a Y. I'm putting my glasses on for 1 second because I got to check our notes. You talk for a second while I check my.
I'll talk, and I'll say I also want to know, like, what does the future have in store for you? What are your plans?
So sweet. Irish people, they're so nice. Not like us ugly Americans.
We're much nicer than English people.
Are you?
Yeah.
Well, I'm talking to a lot of great English people.
Yeah, but Ireland is better.
When I say cheap heat, is it cheap heat what?
Productions.
Oh, it is productions. It's so tiny on Avatar that I didn't know if it was produced. Okay. What's the new TV is coming up. I want everybody's good vibes, prayers if you pray. Come on, you got a bunch of Catholics over there, so let's go. Some new TV that we're going to be, putting out good vibes for that, getting ready to shoot some stuff that'll be really entertaining. I love entertaining TV. Never take yourself too seriously, and constantly producing more and more music and more videos. That's why I say the Patreon. It's like $3 a freaking month. Come on, get the let out. It just allows us to like create some pretty badass stuff. So that, continuing to do all of the stuff in the beginning of the show that I said with Goldie's Corner, the Los Angeles Tribune, Golden Rules with the doctor. We're talking about prostate things, your butt, boobs, everything in between. It's entertaining. It's fun. We just want to connect with you. And always check out Russo's Brand. It's just a whole hell of a great network of awesomeness. Like, Russo has been amazing to me. Go support that too. And then what about you? Do you have a Patreon, Sheep Heat Productions? Like, where do people support you?
We're not at that level quite yet.
Well, you need to be. You got to ask for a little help once in a while, bro.
Yeah. So at the moment, we're just kind of, it's only new. So what I normally do is we do promotion nights. So we do like rock nights and we do wrestling viewing parties. But at the moment, with everything closed, I decided to set up the podcast. That's where we're at. Just to try keep the brand relevant, because we can't be doing anything at the moment in bars and clubs. So that's where we're at.
Well, I'm very proud and very honored to be on your show. Hope I gave you a few good, juicy tidbits, nuggets, sound bites, whatever, and just really appreciate you. And I'm sending the best to you for everything.
And to say it back to you, thanks a million for your time.
You're great. Thank you, honey. Please let me know via email where you found me today, when I can promote what we did.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Bye, sweetheart.
If you enjoy the content on our channel, we'd appreciate a subscription. Thank you.